There is no better feeling than learning new tricks. A few years ago, I came to the realization that some tricks have a natural progression. I did a video about the soul trick progression and how learning a soul grind can open up a variety of different tricks. Today, we're going to talk about the torque slide. The first time I ever saw somebody do a torque style trick was Robert Leovanos doing a Backside Farvegnugen, I believe. But really, the person that made torque style tricks popular and look amazing was John Julio. John would do these amazing backside Farvegnugens that looked incredible. And of course, he has amazing style to begin with, but that's when people started saying, you know what, I could probably do these tricks. So today, we're going to talk about the torque progression and learn a few different tricks based off of a single grind. We're going to start with the Mizu, strengthen our foot, work our way up to a back farv, and then all the way up to a Topside Torque Soul. Now, this video is going to get lengthy. If you're just looking for a single trick tip, you can jump around in the chapters, or you can find another video on YouTube that just specifically focuses on one trick. But the way I like to learn tricks is a progression. You might unlock a trick that you don't know you already have because you can do a different trick. If that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned. This is going to be a really fun video. Now, before we get started, I always like to talk about protective gear, and by far the most important thing for you to wear when you're learning new tricks or when you're skating in general is your helmet. The helmet is just a little bit of insurance that you can take out, so when you fall, and you will fall, you don't have to worry about hitting your head and ending up in the hospital. I always wear knee pads when I skate. To be honest, these tricks aren't going to require a ton of protection. You're not going to put yourself out there. A lot of them are very safe, but wearing a little knee pad, something that's fairly thin that keeps the bumps and bruises off of your knees, can be really beneficial. Same goes with shin guards. You're not going to hit your shins very much today, but it's nice to have a little shin guard there just in case you slip off of the ledge and you hit your shin. I wear these soccer Nike shin guards. They're just a hard plastic, and they've got a little bit of padding in the back. Really, it's just to keep my shins from splitting open if I land on the rail wrong. The one thing that I always recommend you wear when you skate is a wrist guard. I don't know about you, but I'm on my computer most of the day for work, and if I break my wrists or damage my wrists, it's hard for me to provide for my family. So I want to make sure that I have a wrist guard on. I wear these Ennui City Brace. They're the best wrist guards that I've found. I think they're great, super low profile, keep your wrists from getting super damaged. They're not too expensive. And again, it keeps my wrists from getting seriously hurt when I'm learning tricks. I typically say you should learn on whatever object you have available, but some of these tricks actually require something a little bit taller. This ledge is 12 inches tall at the grind area. That's actually as low as I would recommend learning any of these. If you can't do tricks, if you can't do a Mizu on something 12 inches high, you should probably work on that grind until you can get to this height. A lot of these tricks are going to require you to squat down really low, and actually a little bit taller, 18 inches, 20 inches, would be a lot easier to learn on. So the first grind in this progression isn't even a torque grind at all. It's a Mizu. Mizu is one of those foundational tricks that everybody should have. Even if you don't do them very often, it'll help your legs get stronger for torque style tricks. If you need a refresher on how to do a Mizu, I've got a video that I break down all of the different progressions to get to a Mizu and then take your Mizu to the next level. Essentially, a Mizu is a soul style trick with your sole foot in front and your back foot dragging behind you on the inside edge. Now, how a Mizu helps us learn a torque style trick is by doing the Mizu, you want to focus on getting really low. The lower you can get on your Mizu, the easier torque style tricks will be. Most of the torque style grinds are open grinds. So learning your Mizu, getting really solid, getting low, getting a lot of stability is going to help you get used to open grinds. and it's going to strengthen that front foot so that it can handle all of the torque grinds. The back farv is probably one of my favorite safety tricks. It's one of the tricks that I do best, I would say. It is a Mizu with your front foot twisted to the torque. So your front foot would be on the outside edge, and you would jump on with both of your feet facing away from the object. Now, the best way to learn a back farv is to just do your Mizu, but instead of stopping at your sole, open your shoulders more so that they're facing away from the object, and tweak that foot so that it's on the outside edge. It's really just a Mizu. That sole foot is twisting. Your back foot doesn't change. Your sole foot is twisting so that it's on the outside edge. The back farv, as well as most of the torque style tricks, are much easier on a slightly taller ledge and a very fast object. Whether you're skating fast or whether the object is waxed, you need something that's going to overcome that resistance of you torquing your front foot over. Your weight distribution on the back farv is primarily your front foot. It's really just a torque slide with your back foot kind of working as a training wheel to keep you from falling backwards. So if anything, maybe 80% on the front foot, 20% on the back foot. Really throw this front foot out in front of you. Your frame should be at least with your front shoulder, if not a little further out. That will keep you from getting caught and popping out to a front side. A couple issues that I run into doing my back farvs. The first is I don't twist the front foot as much as I need to. You know, it's very much like a Mizu in my head, so I end up going maybe 45 degrees with that front foot, and that will slip off the ledge or the object if you're not fully on top of it. You really need to think, open your shoulders, turn your body open to the ledge, throw that front foot on almost at a 90-degree angle. Not totally a 90-degree angle, it's okay to be a little bit less than 90, but you want that front foot to be as torqued over as possible, and the easiest way to do that is if you open it up fully so that it's perpendicular to the object. If you're struggling trying to get that foot open, one of the mental tricks that I like to do is I think about coming off fakie. So when you come off fakie from a grind, you're kind of turning your body before you leave the object, and then you just pick up your feet and you ride out fakie. If that can help you, if you're comfortable skating backwards, when you jump on your back farv, if you think, I'm going to come off fakie, it'll make your shoulders turn. So it's just like a full 180. You come up forward, you do a 90 to the grind, and a 90 off the grind and land fakie. If you're having a hard time getting low, that is totally normal, especially if you're skating something that is a low object. The only trick to that is find a bigger object or get a little lower so that the object feels higher when you approach. If you come up with your legs fully bent, when you pick up your feet, you won't have to jump up to the object. All you'll have to do is pick up your feet to the object to get on as a torque. Now that you know the back farv, that's one of the foundational torque tricks. There's a few other foundational ones that you should probably learn. The first, and this is kind of a silly one that a lot of people don't do, is the backside cab driver, or the cowboy, or the Rob G, whatever you want to call it. It is when your front foot is on its outside edge like a torque. Your back foot, instead of dragging like a back farv, is tweaked over like a royale. This is a really difficult trick to balance. It's just kind of a fun one with the progression. I found that once I got my back farv, this was actually fairly easy to learn, and if it's at all interesting to you, it's a lot of fun to try. The cab driver is a fun trick. I struggle to make them look good. I think Robert Guerrero can make them look good. I think Vinnie Minton can look good. I think there's a few other people who make them look good. A few thoughts about the cab driver. Most of the weight is still in the front foot. It is basically a back farv, but this back foot is going to be in a royale position. You're going to want to pivot maybe a little bit more towards the middle of your shoulders instead of the front shoulder. So maybe a little bit more of that back foot than the front foot if you were doing a back farv. I would say maybe 70-30, maybe 65-35. 65 being on the front foot, the other one being on the back foot. It's really just there for balance, and when you can squat down on it, it can take over a little bit more because it's got that backslide plate, so you can kind of balance it out a little bit more up there. Any tips doing that backside cab driver? The biggest thing is just fully committing it. You've got to know that you're going to jump on and you're going to slide. It's much easier doing anti-rocker because you don't have any threat of wheel bite. But if you want to practice on the ground, throw that front foot out like you're doing a back farv, and then put that royale foot in and squat down as far as you can. That's really the position that you want, and then practice landing on it. The biggest issue that I run into with these backside cab drivers is trying to get both of my feet touching. The trick to that is just sit down a lot more. So my front foot on that backside farv style, I don't really have a problem with that. It's this back foot. So all that I need to do is just keep squatting myself down until I can find that perfect pivot point. It takes a lot of flexibility in your legs and in your hips. And also think about coming off fakie. If you can think about coming off fakie, you'll open your hips up more to the object, and it'll be easier for you to get that back foot flat and more perpendicular to the object. All right, so let's talk about the backside unity. That is an interesting trick. Technically, it's got a little bit of torque in it, but just as much as a forward star grind has in it. It's not, some would say that it's not really a torque trick, but for me, it's a really great building block trick so that you can learn more advanced tricks. Similar to the back farv, we're going to approach the same way. We're going to think opening up our shoulders to look away from the object. Instead of with the back cab driver landing with your feet touching together, with the back unity, we're going to cross that front foot on top so that they're both on the outside edge. I try stalling it in front so that I know where my position should be. Because you've got one foot in front of the other, you're going to have to adjust a little bit with one of the feet and pull it back versus forward. So when you jump on, you're going to spot with that back foot like your back farv, but instead of throwing that back foot in front of you, you're going to jump on and then let the back foot stay where it is and follow through with that front foot. The back unity is a really fun trick. It's one that I don't do often enough. It really feels like you just squat down and you can just kind of sit. If there's any tricks that feel like you're sitting on the ledge, this is the one. Cross your legs, just sit down and kind of let the ledge take you. Your body weight for a back unity should be centered. So you want your feet shoulder length apart, maybe a little bit further than shoulder length apart, depending on your grooves. But you want your body weight to be right over the middle. One of the big problems that I run into when I do unities is I try to get too low. It is not like a cess slide. You don't need to get fully down on the ground so that you're only on your sole plates. That's a different trick altogether. The backside unity grind, you need to be on the combination of your frame and your sole plates. Put your frame up there and see how low you need to get before you hit your sole plates. For me, it's not that low. So that's as far as you should get with your back unity. If you get any lower, you're really just doing a cess slide on the ledge, which is fine, but you're going to lose some of that control. Another issue that I run into, this is a common theme with torque slide tricks, is that I keep falling off on top of the ledge. The reason for that is that I'm not opening my shoulders up enough and I'm not looking out from the ledge. The trick to that, we've said it before, In your mind, think that you're going to come off fakie. It is a 180. 90 degrees to jump on the unity, 90 degrees to jump off the unity. If you do that, your body is going to naturally open up so that it can come off fakie. As it opens up, you just need to pause here, and you've got this perfect looking away from the object perpendicular grind. Stay here as long as you can, and then come off fakie or come off forward. It's up to you. The backside torque slide is one of those weird tricks that you see a lot of people doing, but I feel like a lot of people do them incorrectly. So a back torque slide is a back farv, but instead of both feet, you're only on your front foot. So it is a one-footed grind. Front foot is on the outside edge and you're moving forward. Now you could easily just go to a ledge, throw your front foot on like the back farv that we've been learning and slide a little bit. And that can be a lot of fun. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but if you want to learn a proper backside torque slide, there is another step that I think you should consider that will help you get stronger. My friend Chris taught me this. So a backside torque slide is different than a back farv because that balance point, instead of being in front of you like a back farv, is going to be almost perfectly in the middle of your shoulders. The best way to think about a backside torque slide, instead of a back farv, is to think about it as a back unity. So to start, we're going to jump on the object as a unity, and we're going to pick up that front foot so that we're only grinding on our torque foot. So I am not good at backside torque slides. That took me probably 30 attempts to get those 5 or so clips. It is definitely a trick that is a more advanced trick, especially doing a switch up in the middle. You've really got to land that unity perfectly. And then when you pick up that foot, keep your balance. But once you get that backside torque slide after a unity, you'll have so much strength in that torque foot that you shouldn't have any problem knowing what it feels like and having the strength to balance the torque slide. All right, I am the first to admit I don't do torque slides very often. This isn't a trick that I'm super interested in. I like two-footed grinds, but it is a really fun one-footed grind. Few things that I found that help me when learning the backside torque slide. First of all, you gotta give it enough speed. Wax the heck out of your object and make sure that you come flying at it. Flying at it is all relative. In here, I can't get a ton of speed, but give the object as much speed as it requires. In a torque slide, because all of your weight is going to be on this torque foot, you're going to need to be going as fast as any other grind. Otherwise, you'll get stuck and you'll slip forward. The same rule applies. Open up your shoulders, think come off fakie. I found that the ones that I was able to do most consistently and in my eyes the most stylishly were the ones that I came off fakie, because I was in my head thinking, I'm going to turn a 90 degree, get on the object, and then turn another 90 degree to come off fakie. That helps with your body to align properly to the object and open up that hip so that that torque foot can get perpendicular on the grind. Once you get confident enough, you can grab it like a gentleman. But for me, grabbing is really difficult. Changes my balance a lot. I was able to get one grab that was pretty buckled. A lot of people out there can do it cleanly. I feel like if I gave this the respect that it deserved and did more torque slides, I'd be grabbing like no tomorrow. But right now, I'm pretty happy with the grab that I got. Ultimately, I want to get the foundational down so that we can progress on to tricks that I actually do care about. All right, the Topside Torque Soul is a closed grind. It is a variation of the Torque Soul, the Topside version, which is a variation of the Soul grind. Soul grind being a closed grind so that your hips are closed, you're facing into the object. The trick with a Topside Torque Soul, though, is that because it is a torque-based trick, it is more of an open grind than you might realize. So I'm going to approach the object like I'm doing a cab driver. So I'm going to approach it, turn my body 90 degrees, slap that back foot on, and instead of this foot being flat like a Royale, I'm going to turn my shoulders so that instead of looking out, I'm actually looking like 45 degrees. So this foot isn't going to be perpendicular, it might turn a little bit, but that means that my cab driver would then just need to turn a little bit here, this foot turns a little bit there, and now I'm at a torque soul. Before anything, I'm going to try stalling it. I have a nice little line on the ground, so I'm going to approach, going to jump on, 45 degrees, looking out this way, not looking out this way, not looking out this way, 45 degrees, turning that hip. Wish me luck. All right, so a couple thoughts. I landed one a little bit, and I felt like that back foot was pushed in front of me more than it should have been. So I have to get this back foot a little bit lower, maybe open up my shoulders a little bit more, and really put a lot of weight on this front foot. I have a feeling this front foot is going to do 80% of the work. This back foot is just going to be up there for the ride. All right, so this is hard for me. First of all, I'm really bad at topside tricks. I feel like I've got that front foot locking solid, but this back foot, I just don't know where to put it. And because I don't do very many topside tricks, probably a difficult one. This trick might require a little bit more topside practice than I realize. Theoretically, most of my weight should be on the front foot, but getting that alignment for the back foot is very difficult when I'm not when I'm not solid at topside tricks. I'm gonna give it 5 more tries to see if I can nail it, and then call it a day. All right, definitely not great, but I think it counts. That last one felt pretty good, kind of bouncing between like a top sole and a torque sole, but I'd count it. Having a strong topside foot is gonna be kind of a prerequisite for getting this trick, at least getting this trick right. I feel like that I'm putting a lot of my weight on my front foot, and that's helping really well, but because I'm not super familiar with how to guide my back foot and to lock it onto the object, I feel like that's the missing piece. So stay tuned. We'll do a tutorial on topside tricks as I learn topside tricks, and then we'll be able to reference this video and finally get this Topside Torque Soul nailed. So now you know everything that I know about torque style tricks. They're an amazing grind, and something that you can really just sit down on, put all of your weight on the object, and just cruise. I absolutely love my back farv, but I want to do more back unities and maybe even more torque slides. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about torque tricks. If there's anything that I could do to make it better, please let me know in the comments. I love your feedback.